Well, happy Friday, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Are you not entertained? It's not supposed to be this fun, but it does feel like in Gladiator, after he slices some human beings and ends their life.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
And so I know what you were talking about last night with your friends. I know, because this is one of the stories that's so big when you're a talk show host. Every once in a while, you start getting text messages from random people that you hadn't heard from in a long time. Like, what is going on here? And hey, I feel you, because this isn't like a soap opera. This isn't two, 8th grade girls having a tiff over who's going to be the best friend and who's going to be the second best friend. This is the richest guy on planet Earth and the most powerful guy on planet Earth. You're not supposed to know the Young and the Restless, Garrett, much less cheer the theme song. I have a lot of questions about this guy on the other side of the glass. What is his bit? Where did we get him? He seems so normal, and then he just says random things like, "Oh, I love the Young and the Restless." Shame on you for recognizing. We need to get you evaluated. You're interrupting like an important point here, though, but it's not just like two of these, super friends are having a tiff. Now that we've all been able to calm down, and it's been, right at 24 hours since this happened, I think we all feel a little bit better about this than when we did when we first got the news about the tweet saying, Trump's on the Epstein list. And, my first reaction was, is that true, or is that the ketamine talking? Well, now just seeing how they both continue to react. Epstein list. Okay, he's on the flight log somewhere, but nothing so damning that it would end his entire career or his life or whatever, because that would have been a burnt bridge. And so, okay. Also, if he is the type of guy that is going to the Epstein Island to do nefarious things, probably with underage girls, then you wouldn't sit around and work with him. You wouldn't continue to work with him. You wouldn't say nice things about him ever again. In fact, you would disavow him, and you would burn the media to the ground until they got the Epstein list and put this evil person behind bars. I mean, if he was one of those people. So I think we're all leaning away from that, myself included. Trump's probably on some of the flight logs, but nothing damning about going to the island. Also, we actually got a response from Trump yesterday, right after the James Show. He's sitting around and just normally taking questions from the media. And of course, Elon comes up. He was asking about the feud yesterday. And he really just talked about it for, actually a minute. I don't want to say literally a minute because my daughters say that too much, but literally a minute.
But I'm very disappointed because Elon knew the inner workings of this bill better than almost anybody sitting here. Better than you people. He knew everything about it. He had no problem with it. All of a sudden he had a problem. And he only developed the problem when he found out that we're going to have to cut the EV mandate, because that's billions and billions of dollars. And it really is unfair. We want to have cars of all types. Electric, we want to have electric, but we want to have a gasoline, combustion. We want to have different. We want to have hybrids. We want to have we want to be able to sell everything. And when that was cut, and Congress wanted to cut it, he became a little bit different, and I can understand that. But he knew every aspect of this bill. He knew it better than almost anybody, and he never had a problem until right after he left. And if you saw the statements he made about me, which I'm sure you can get very easily, it's very fresh on tape. He said the most beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally, but I'm sure that'll be next. But I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot.
All right, well, that's not the response of a guy who's secretly been a pedophile and worried about being exposed. So that makes me feel a whole lot better about the whole Epstein list accusation, and that also makes me feel better at that very last part there where he didn't say anything about me personally. Where's that again? Do that part.
Beautiful things about me, and he hasn't said bad about me personally. But
Right. That's the other key here, because I go back through the statements on both sides, and neither one of them did do any personal attacks and actually burn bridges. And by personal attacks, there's a difference between the criticism of, Trump's on the Epstein list, or sure would like some budget cuts, versus what you normally see both of these guys do. Elon will tell someone, like he told the New York Times board, go F yourself. And you've seen what Donald Trump has done, just absolutely torching people, calling them pigs or whatever. Well, you didn't see that. You didn't see any ad hominem insults. What you did see from Elon last night was him retweeting Donald Trump from 12 years ago saying, we have to balance the budget. Any congressman who votes for a budget deficit should not be eligible for reelection. And Elon Musk was saying, I agree with this guy. And so he was, I don't want to say he's going out of his way to not insult the guy, but there were no insults thrown. There were none of like, you're ugly, you're fat, you're stupid, you're orange. None of that. So now it's starting to creep up. Is this some sort of setup? Did they plan this out? Because both of them are being measured and both of them are not known for being measured. So I'm against it, but against the idea that it's a setup, but not 100%. I think maybe 10, 20% of me thinks that these guys know what they're doing. And I don't know. What's the 3D chess they're playing here? Don't say 4D chess, no such thing. But what's the 3D chess they're playing here? Is this going to change the bill? Is this going to make the bill better or worse? Is this going to put pressure on politicians to act different in D.C.? Yeah, I don't see that either. See, that's kind of why I'm leaning against it. But we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out together. And, it kind of stinks to see mom and dad fighting. But according to Fox News, right before the James show started, they were saying that Elon wants to talk to Trump.
Well, it's been almost 24 hours since President Trump and Elon Musk's bitter public feud began. Both men quick to throw punches. Trump saying that Elon Musk was wearing thin, among other things. And Musk claims that Trump couldn't have won the election without him. There's some Epstein insinuations and even more. But a white flag may be on the horizon. According to the White House, Elon Musk now wants to speak with President Trump.
There we go. All right. Mom and dad are going to have a talk. They're going to go in the backyard and y'all just stay in your room and play video games. Everything's going to be fun. No one's getting divorced. We're not going to have 2 Christmases. It'll work itself out. It's fine. All right, coming up next, Russia has now responded to the drones with the airstrike of their own across 6 different regions in Ukraine. But it may not be a deal breaker on peace talks. Dave Hamilton from the National Security Economic Center next on News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. My next guest is the great David Hamilton, now with the National Security Economic Center at UNT. He's always been our foreign policy analyst, and when we're talking about foreign affairs, David, something we were waiting on finally happened. Russia seems to have responded to the Ukrainian drone strike from, I guess, last week. Seems like a long time ago now. But the reports I read, 6 different regions of Ukraine were hit, but I didn't see any casualty reports. Do we know that yet? Yikes. What were the targets? I saw they hit the capital, Kiev, or if we're calling it Kyiv these days, whatever. Is that rare, or hasn't Kyiv been hit quite a bit? Yeah, right. We're talking with David Hamilton about a real lovers' quarrel. So let's talk about what's going on in Istanbul. Are they still doing the peace talks, or did that wrap up? Well, David Hamilton, wasn't Russia saying that they would be on our side in the latest Iranian talks? Wait, so is Russia making their own drones, or are they sneaking them in? That seems backwards. Isn't Russia the far more technologically advanced country? Hmm. Yeah, I guess you would after 3 years of this. David Hamilton, National Security Economic Center. What do you think happens next? Is this getting us closer to peace talks or pushing us away? Did I hear you correctly? You floated the idea of Russia joining NATO or just working with NATO? To join NATO? Yeah, why don't you join the organization that is sole existence is countering your power? Yeah, I mean, China's a threat, but I think Putin does want to take over at least, Ukraine, maybe a little bit more than that. All right, good stuff. There's David Hamilton, National Security Economic Center at UNT. Thank you for being on the James Show, sir. Yeah, it's weird how big stories like that, 6 different regions of Ukraine were hit by Russian airstrikes, ballistic missiles, 400 drones. We're over here talking about a lover's quarrel between the two most powerful men on the planet. But still, hey, they're both important. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up next, I'm going to explain to you why I think the Elon and Trump tiff may actually end up improving the big, beautiful bill. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. Happy Friday. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. So now that we've had a good 24 hours to digest what's been going on, remember, this all blew up really with the tweet of Elon Musk saying, here's the big bomb, Trump's in the Epstein list. And, you know, that'll get everyone's attention because we still don't have any answers on the Epstein list. And we also know that, you know, there's some people that are in the flight logs, but they didn't go to the island. There's probably people that went to the island, but not during one of the Diddy party freak-offs. I don't know. I'm getting my stories mixed up here, aren't I? But now that we've had a little time to see what's happening and see what the reaction is, I can get why a lot of people think this is a setup. I can get why a lot of people see what's going on and say they're playing the media. And look, I got a lot of emails from you yesterday, a few this morning, a lot of Facebook messages. Here's an example. Romero, who has emailed the James Show before, he says, I'm thinking Elon and Trump are working the fake media. The way they are talking is so overboard. Well, yes and no. It's overboard, but only to a limit. I don't know. I think it might, you know, it's not like overwhelming or underwhelming. I think it's just whelming. Because when you look at it now, you're right. There's been no personal attacks. Elon didn't call him fat and orange. Trump didn't call him anything, but like that's a personal insult. Didn't make fun of his accent or his drug use or whatever. So the criticism has actually been saying somewhat not professional. It doesn't feel professional, but it's not an ad hominem attack. They're not making it personal. They're not burning the bridge. So I think your instincts are right there, Romero, but I just don't think it's that much overboard. So if there is like just a little bit of a sensationalism thrown out there to kind of head fake the media, you have a couple options there. This could be a master plan from Trump and Elon. Let's go out there and get into a slap fight. And while they're distracted, we go do other things while they're looking at the shiny keys. This could be something that's not necessarily planned out, but just kind of a concept that's just Elon based only, and Trump's not in on it. Because Elon's the one that threw the Epstein file out there, and that's kind of what caught fire. Is this just a sloppy plan from Elon? Is Elon butthurt that he went in, did all this work with Doge, took all this heat, ruined his brand, got his dealerships firebombed, had his cars keyed all over the continent, and then you're not even going to codify my cuts? And the president, when the Congress didn't want to codify the cuts, you're not going to call them out on it. You're going to say it's a good bill. So maybe Elon's just trying to stop the big, beautiful bill, or maybe get it overhauled quite a bit. I don't know if that's going to work. We need to have more actual Republicans saying, hey, listen, we're kind of the party of smaller government, and this bill doesn't make government smaller. So I like all the tax cuts in there. I like removing the taxes on tips and firearm suppressors and things like that, but this still grows government. And so philosophically, I can't support it. Why is there only like 4 guys? They're saying it's like Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, and I think Mike Lee and me. Shouldn't everyone in the Republican Party, everyone with the R after their name, say, hey, this grows government. Can't do it. Come back. Balance the budget. That's my priority number one. Because I see, like, when Rand Paul or even Elon criticizes it, I see some forever Trumpers, you know, the opposite of an ever Trumper, say, well, you're shooting this bill down, but you're not proposing one of your own. So, well, here's my proposal. Balance the budget. That's all. If that's asking too much, then you're not a limited government, or you have no principles. How about that? You may say you're for limited government. You may say you want smaller government. But if you're willing to go out there and vote for a bill that makes government bigger, then you have no principles. You're not really for smaller government. You just say that when it's time to get elected. And we can't keep doing that. The countries that do that, the societies that do that, the empires that do that, all collapse. Why did the British Empire collapse? Because armies overran them? No, not really. That kind of only happened here in America. It was an economic collapse. Why did the Spanish Armada actually get beat by the British and in the Spanish domination? It was an economic collapse that preceded it. Why did the Soviet Union collapse? Did they not have a Golden Dome missile defense system? And so they were left vulnerable to outside attacks from missiles? No, that's not how they fell. It was an economic collapse. They got over their skis. They printed money till they couldn't print anymore. They borrowed money till they couldn't borrow anymore. And when they couldn't pay their bills anymore, boom, the base of power falls out from under. There goes your empire. And we are not immune to these laws of economics. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. If this is some sort of plan, either a master plan from Trump and Elon, or maybe just a sloppy plan from Elon, will it work? 800-288-9227. As far as I see with the reply going from the Republicans in Congress, I don't think this is going to work. Coming up next, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is in a plane right now, headed on the way back to the U.S. from El Salvador. Immigration attorney Kate Lincoln Goldfinch explains next on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. Happy Friday. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker, and I'm told that on an airplane right now, America's favorite El Salvadorian illegal immigrant, Kilmar Abrego Garcia, he's coming back. He's been indicted on human trafficking charges here in the United States, and he's going to get his day in court, it looks like. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, an immigration attorney, coming back on the James Show to explain some of this to me. So he's going from the terrible, worst prison ever in El Salvador to where? Just a regular old federal prison here? Would it be a state prison? Do we know? Well, it says a federal grand jury has indicted him for allegedly transporting undocumented migrants. Now, that sounds like it could have several different charges. Well, hang on. I think the wording's important here. He wasn't wrongfully deported. He was just undocumentedly deported. I think it was an undocumented deportation. They just didn't have the right documents. It was the right thing to do. They just didn't have the documents. Well, we're talking with Kate Lincoln Goldfinch. She's an immigration attorney with Lincoln Goldfinch Law. You don't appreciate my sarcasm there because they're bringing him back here to run through this whole rigmarole so they can get the document that says we can legally deport him now. So he's just an undocumented deportee. We should send him to Canada then. All right. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, what happens to his legal spouse during all this? Well, I just like as an immigration attorney, you obviously have dealt with people in a similar situation, and I just what happens to because I do have concern with his wife's an American citizen, if I remember correctly, right? So what's the process like if you're an American citizen and you're married to an illegal and you get caught in one of these deportation battles? Right. Well, Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, let's say he goes to trial, he gets convicted of some serious crimes. Does he have to do his time here and then he gets deported? How does that work? What do you think's going to happen? No, hey, that's all right. If you don't know, there's an honor in admitting that I don't know how this is going to end up either, Kate. So your guess is probably a little bit better than mine. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, immigration attorney. Thank you very much for being on the James Show. And you can use that term, by the way, undocumented deportee. I know it's going to come in handy for you. All right. Speaking of illegal immigration, some people are upset that illegals were getting in-state tuition in Texas, but I was wondering, why are they allowed to go to college here at all if they're illegal? So coming up next, 800-288-9227. That all ends. Details coming up on the James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Man, I feel like I am just not paying attention sometimes. You see this story that came out this week. You probably heard it already. Especially if you're an all-day listener, you're ahead of me on this one. We just found out that it's now prohibited for the state of Texas to give illegal immigrants in-state tuition at our colleges. And I find that a real slap myself in the forehead moment, because I didn't know we were giving in-state tuition to illegals to go to our colleges. That was a thing? We were doing that already? In violation of federal law. And we've just been chilling doing this for over 2 decades? What the heck else is going on in our legal system that I don't know about? Because you would be hard-pressed to find a majority of people in Texas who think that's a good idea. I'm sure there's some kooks out there who think that's good or that's fine or that's fair or whatever. But since 2001, the great state of Texas has allowed illegal alien students to qualify for in-state tuition. They have to meet some of the similar requirements that citizens do. You have to have attended a Texas high school and resided in the state for a certain period of time. But we're allowing illegal immigrants to go to our colleges, and we're wondering why we have an illegal immigration problem. And we're wondering why people keep streaming across the border. We're wondering why we're stuck with, 20% of the population is foreign born? My goodness, we make it so easy for them to do it. We make it so just comfortable for them to come here. So let me get this straight. You break the laws to get in this country. You jump in front of the millions of legal immigrants who are trying to get in here the right way, do the paperwork, get the background check, pay the fees, take the test, and these guys get to just go past them. And once you get here, you get free education. Just show up at a school, register your kid. You're not going to get a bill. If there's anything wrong with you or your kid, just go to the nearest emergency room. Get your health care. You're not going to get a bill. You get everything that this country provides. Some of them even get on entitlements. My God. Of course they're coming here in droves. You'd almost be an idiot to not come here illegally. So illegal immigrants, number one, you probably did what I would do. It's probably what's best for your kid. If you didn't have good job prospects or a network of support in your home third world country, heck, why not come here? Not only can your kids get all this stuff for free, but when it's time to go to college, we let them in. How stupid are we? What level of suicidal empathy have we reached where the other 364 days a year we're like, oh, the cost of college is out of control? Well, yeah, cost of college is out of control. You got to subsidize people who aren't even supposed to be here. Not only that, for every illegal alien student whose butt takes up a seat in a Texas college, that's a seat that's not available for a citizen. So you increase in demand, the supply is static. What happens to the cost? It goes up. This is one of the dumbest policies that's existed, and it's been going on for 24 years. And the only reason I wasn't upset about it last week is because I didn't know about it, and neither did you. What the heck? So you go try and read up on this, and there have been attempts to get rid of this before. Texas Scorecard did a nice little write-up where they talk about the closest we got was in 2012 because it came up during when Rick Perry was running for president. Someone brought that up. And there have been a couple of bills over the years where they try and do it. It never passes. How does this never pass? How bad are the Republicans, not just in D.C., working on this big, beautiful bill that grows government, but here in Austin? And when people, some of them sound surprised when I say I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. You're not a Republican? I don't support this. You know what I'm for? In D.C., balancing the budget. Here in Texas, property tax cuts. How about not letting illegals get a subsidy? You're not even making them pay the full out-of-state tuition. We're giving them a discount. Insane. Insane that became law in the first place. Insane that it survived for 24 years. And it's also insane that it was only withdrawn after Trump's Department of Justice sued. So 800-288-9227. My mind is just blown. Justin in Dallas, you're on WBAP. Go.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but out of curiosity, if these individual quote unquote illegal immigrants were brought here as children from the age of 4, 5, 6, and
Yeah.
all they've ever known was the U.S. school system,
Yeah.
can we really fault them for wanting to attend a U.S. college?
Well, I don't fault them for wanting to attend it. I fault us for subsidizing it or for allowing them to. I don't understand the disconnect here.
So what's the solution? Is for them to go back to their country after spending their entire life here in the United States, and our school system to go back to their country of origin and go to college there?
Or they could go to some other country where they legally immigrate to with an E, not an I. But listen, the spoils of your parents' crimes do not insulate because they end up in the hands of their children. So yeah, they came here and they got free school. They shouldn't have gotten that. That's an injustice in the first place. On top of that injustice, you want to now say, well, because of this injustice, we have to do this other injustice to the taxpayers who already got injustice by the first injustice. So no, you're thinking about the kid there who came here, no fault of their own. I'll grant you that, but that is the fault of their parents. And if we're going to take that incentive away, hey, you can bring them here. They'll get high school, but they're not going to be allowed to go to college. Good. There's a disincentive for parents to come here and bring their kids and just stay illegally for as long as they want and continue to violate our laws and violate the taxpayers. Does that make sense?
You say violate the taxpayers, but immigrants, it's been shown on record, pay over $1 billion a year in taxes.
All right, let me try and put it a different way because I'm not breaking through. Let's say I go rob a bank, and my kid, I have minor children. I rob a bank. I take that money, I give it to them. Now, if I want to come through, if the law wants to come through and say, okay, that money was taken illegally, unjustly, we have to take that away from the kids as well. You can't say, well, kids got that of no fault of their own. They didn't do anything wrong. Their parents just did that. You can't punish them for what their parents did. Yeah, you can.
I mean, that's an error I think is a bit of a stretch, but I see your point.
Yeah, well, philosophically speaking, that's why I stand where I stand, because the ill-gotten gains do not become just because it's passed along to a minor child.
I just don't see the gains as being ill-gotten if there was no malintent on the part of the child from the time that they were.
There was no malintent on the part of the child for the children of bank robbers. I'm letting it process.
I'll let you ride with that analogy. I appreciate the time.
Okay. Well, I mean, I understand why you think that, because you're thinking from the point of view of the kid. The kid didn't do anything wrong. Why are we punishing the kid? No, we're not punishing the kid. The kid wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. You're rewarding the criminality of the parents by continuing the taxpayer subsidized education scheme. Does that make better sense? Did I do better that time, Justin?
No, you've explained yourself. Yeah,
Okay.
I understand.
Well, I hear you listening, so I appreciate you at least being open-minded and not calling me like a racist or Nazi or whatever. I'll work on you, Justin.
Yeah,
You'll come
everyone's
around.
entitled to their own opinion.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Should the children of illegal immigrants get in-state tuition? Should they be allowed to go to college at all? I say no and no. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I am your host, James Parker. I feel like a little naive, a little Pollyanna-ish here. Just learning this week that we've been giving in-state tuition to illegals. And it didn't get ended because the legislature passed a law to stop it either. It was stopped because of a lawsuit. We were allowing, and the reason I find this just so far off the pier is that illegals shouldn't be going to college here anyway. You're not supposed to be here. That's like trespassing in someone's house and be like, nah, go ahead and get some chips and salsa while you're in it. 800-288-9227. Maybe you can try and talk some sense into me because I think some people disagree. Justin in the Colony, what do you think about this?
Well, no, I'm out at Tennessee Colony, out in the middle of East Texas, and out here we have the prison system. And I agree with you.
Wait, stop. You're calling from the prison outside of Palestine?
No. Well, yeah, that area. I work at the prison. Yes. I'm an employee
okay.
there.
But you're not a prisoner.
So, no. I'm an employee there.
Just checking.
But yeah, I agree with you. We do not need to. No free tuition for anybody. Sorry.
Well, not free tuition, in-state tuition. Yeah. Just to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Scholarships are out there for that. That's what that's for. But, the people that want to do that. But the last caller made the comment that all these immigrants pay billions of dollars in taxes. Well, I'm sorry to tell you, there's half the staff here in this system down here that are from other countries, other continents, that do not pay income tax on their pay stubs, period. They're in that program. They're brought over to get staff, and they do not pay income tax.
Yeah, I always like that argument too. Like, no, they're not leeching off the system. They pay more in taxes than the average American, or it has the same sort of air, kind of fart cloud with it that when people say they're doing jobs Americans don't want to do, that's just like insulting. Like that's not even believable for 5 seconds, and it betrays like a little bit of good old fashioned Democrat racism there. Like you white people aren't even paying your fair share. You native black people aren't paying your fair share. Not like these good old illegal immigrants that come in. And what are they doing? They're scraping the algae off the side of the pool, so all of our economy is based on their tax contributions. I doubt it.
Yeah. Anyway.
Wait. So you're saying the employees at the Tennessee Colony prison are immigrants and they're legal and they're not having taxes on?
Correct. They are brought over from Africa, from different countries of Africa, different countries of Asia. They are adults. They're brought through immigration, and they're given these jobs, and they do not pay income tax. Income tax is not pulled from their pay stubs.
Hang on. Is this a private prison or is this a state prison?
This is the state prison.
The state is doing this?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
It happens.
All right. So, that's you just wanted me to start a whole nother show over. Justin, you want to send me a little bit more info? I bet you have a storyline I need to dig into and do a future show on. Can you send me an email, James at WBAP.com? Let me know all about this system here. Because
no problem.
Yeah, I am very curious about what the heck else is going on. You can't hire someone from Palestine to work out there. There's not some 22-year-old kid that could get a good state job. And, the state jobs, these are jobs that have, health care benefits and paid maternity leave. And some of them even have pensions still, if not a TSP plan. They have good retirement plans. We're giving those to immigrants. When we have unemployed people in Texas, unemployment rate isn't zero. It came out this morning, 4.2%. That is insane. Is government here to benefit us or other people? Or really, who are we kidding? Itself? That's probably the real answer. Fred in Houston, you're on WBAP. Go.
Yes, sir. I'm wondering, are we saying that now they can still go to college here just without the in-state tuition discount?
Yeah, they just have to pay full price.
Oh, okay. Well, then the last caller shouldn't be too upset about the fact that we're not, stopping their ability to go to college in Texas.
Well, he was, I think, responding more to my criticism that they shouldn't be allowed to go to college at all. He was responding because I said because he was saying to me, well, what should they do then? You want to prevent these people from going to college? Yeah, here for sure. Well,
I agree. I don't think they should go to college here at all.
haven't you been hit with this like 2,000 times in different media outlets or social media posts since Trump got inaugurated in January? People show you something that is the most common sense, brain dead, obvious yes, and they're like, "Did you vote for this?" Yeah, I did vote for this. Actually, I voted for way worse than this. From your point of view, the stuff I would really prefer they do, and I would probably horrify you if this upsets you. If them not getting a discounted tuition is upsetting, well, then they're definitely not going to like my idea that they shouldn't be allowed in our colleges at all.
Well, I also want to point out that probably most of the people who are saying that it shouldn't be on the burden on the child who had no fault of their own being here are probably agreeing that people today who had no fault in slavery should be paying reparations.
Right. The kid who shouldn't be held for the consequence of the previous generation that happened 5 minutes ago. That makes sense. But holding us accountable for something that happened 150 years ago. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The double standard's hilarious, isn't it?
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much.
Well, that's all I want to say. Thanks. Bye.
Good call all the way from Houston, Fred. That's kind of cool. Let's see. Who's next? Martin and Euless, you're on WBAP. Go.
You said something very important at the outset of all this, which was that the students or the children had to meet certain criteria, meaning that they had to attend Texas high school, correct?
Texas high school and, residency requirement. Yeah.
Right. So not only are we, the taxpayer, subsidizing this, but we're also disincentivizing them becoming a citizen in the first place, because if they become a citizen, then they won't get out-of-state tuition, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think if otherwise they were citizens, they might get in-state tuition because they would still meet the residency requirement. I think it just has to be similar to what, like if you moved here from Louisiana, you'd have to be here for like 3 years before you could go to a community college. I forgot what the time limit is, but I think it's actually similar to that. But no, you're right on the incentive structure for illegal immigration is just off the charts, brain dead. The fact that they can just come here and without even lifting a finger already have a better standard of living than if they stay in these countries. I don't know if you've like actually been to other countries, like not just to the border, but like driving around in the hinterlands and in the country. There are still millions of people in countries that are adjacent to us where people live in like dirt floors and they have a palm fronds for their roof. And that's not like a kitschy thing. Like we have a tropical theme going on here. No, there are people who are living a third world existence. And just the fact that they can come across the Rio Grande and get all this abundance thrown at their feet, what a giant magnet that is. And if you want to have real progress in the illegal immigration issue, turn that magnet off. Stop paying for it. Stop incentivizing it. Incentives are huge, Martin.
I'm actually a legal immigrant, and I spent 17 years going through the process. And at this point, I wish I would have come here illegally because I would have gotten a bunch of free stuff. So I'm a little pissed off.
Well, here's what happens. Here's what happens at our hospitals. I know this. My brother-in-law used to work at a hospital. Illegal immigrants go in, have a baby. They give a fake name. They never get a bill. Did you pay for your own babies?
Yes, sir. I sure did.
You're a sucker, Martin. You should have stuck us with the bill.
I'm a moron.
I know. Thank you for doing it the right way, though. I appreciate it. There's good Martin and Euless. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Illegals were getting in-state tuition in Texas. Hey, can we go ahead and pass a law that says they're not allowed to go to our colleges here? If you're an illegal immigrant, you can't go to. You're not allowed to be here. How are you allowed to go to class? You're not even allowed to be in the bookstore. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Welcome to the big show. I feel like I was caught off guard when I found out that now Texas is no longer going to allow illegals to get in-state tuition. I didn't know we were doing that. What a terrible law. How long has this been in place? Since 2001. And I find this law not abhorrent because I think they should pay more for tuition. They shouldn't be going to our colleges at all. How about this? Here's a new law here from the James Show. We're good at writing legislation that's succinct. If you can't legally be standing in the middle of the quad, you're not eligible for admission. Is that too much of a stretch? 800-288-9227. This is Sandra in Fort Worth. Go.
Hi. 2006, my husband and I moved from New Mexico here. And the first thing I was angry about was Rick Perry saying we had to educate these people as long as they were here. And that's when I found out about the in-state tuition. I have been livid. And we have the audacity to ask the federal government for reimbursing us, for protecting the state. The state of Texas is awful. They've been letting this go for years. No, they shouldn't be in college at all. And I'm sick of it. I'm absolutely sick of it. But Texas created their own problems. They created a problem here and kept it going because they wanted that cheap labor. And Rick Perry said, well, they need to be educated. And what happened is they would go to school and they would get their law degrees, and then they would work for immigration attorneys trying to get people in here off. I mean, it's horrible. It's disgusting.
Well, explain to me, Sandra, why whenever I bring this up on the radio show, I hear almost exclusively from people like you. We did have one caller that disagreed with us earlier, but I would say overwhelming, maybe 80, 90% of the callers say what you say. But when we send people who are supposed to be our elected representatives down to Austin, they don't pass the laws in the way we see fit. Why do we see such a disconnect?
Because all the electioneering is done very much in secret compared to other places that I have lived. It's hard to get information about them. It's hard to do anything. But the same people are here, and they get it. This is Texas. Texas is not a good place to be politically. It's not what it says it is.
Are we too big? Is that the problem?
I think part of the problem is that most of the people that live here have never lived anyplace else. So they just keep doing the same thing over and over, and they never learn from anybody else.
Yeah,
I'm a Colorado native. I've lived in Florida. I lived in New Mexico. I've lived in North Carolina and here. And this is the worst state I've ever lived in.
Well, I'm not sure this is a Texas-specific thing, because on the national level, this is the same thing the Republicans are doing to their voters in D.C. Republican voters all say they want smaller government. I don't know any Republican that's saying we need to grow government. And then they go out there, here's a bill that wants to grow government, and every Republican is voting for it except for Rand Paul and Thomas Massie.
But the illegal thing is big here. The illegal thing is big here.
Right. I'm just noticing there's a pattern here of your representatives, the Republican Party that so many of you people love so much. They're not representing you. I'm not saying vote for Democrats.
No,
they're even worse.
I know they're not. They haven't been representing me. I don't like living here. I'd like to go someplace else, but I'm a widow now, and I'm not where I can leave. It's
all right.
Disgusting.
Well,
the illegal thing is disgusting.
At least you have a good radio show to listen to. That's all I can do for you, Sandra.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you
for saying what you are. Thank you.
David in Dallas, you're next up on WBAP. Go.
What's up?
Hey.
How can you be right about everything and everybody else is wrong about everything that they believe in?
You know, I that is one of the hard parts about being a libertarian. You know, I know really only 2% of the population agrees with me on some of the big issues. Like for drugs, I want to legalize all drugs over the counter, no prescription system, whatever. You can all just go get it at Walgreens or whatever the equivalent liquor store would look like. And when I read surveys, I realize that only like maybe 8% at tops of the people agree with me on that one. And it is tough. I do recognize that I am the odd man out on so many of these issues. And the only way it doesn't really bother me that much is how often I was proven wrong. Because my wife even pulled me aside during COVID. She's like, why are you so against masks? Why are you so against the lockdowns? Why are you so against and everything? I remember we had this conversation and I recorded it in a radio show the next day. And then we revisited that 6 months. We revisited it in a year. If we revisited it now, I would look like a genius because now we have the Cochrane report. We know the masks don't do anything. We know the mask mandates don't do anything. We know the vaccines don't prevent you from getting it. We know you can still go to the hospital. You can still die. We know social distancing was just some made up arbitrary number that had no basis in science. So the only reason I sound so confident about saying things that are very unpopular now is I have a pretty solid record of being right, even in the face of disagreeing with the majority of the public.
So then, why should we close a country that has been rooted and built by people who have been forced away? I mean, for the existence of the entire nation, it's been anti-immigration. But without that system in place of people coming over and wanting a better life, in China they call this place the Golden Mountain, man. I mean, it is heaven for people.
Are you under the impression I want to stop immigration?
Under the impression that we want to stop immigrants from having access and ability to enjoy the American dream. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're all in favor of legal immigration. You don't have to create a straw man so you can win the argument against me. I don't think I'm not sure.
I would jump in and say my argument is that I'm in favor of no borders whatsoever and a totally free world.
All right. So you don't
not realistic.
Okay, but what happens? What happens if we have open borders next year? About what, 2 billion people move here, and then it's no longer and then it's no longer America. Like, it doesn't.
But you can't say that the American dream currently is fulfilling its promise. It's busted and broken and divided and hurting. And it's because 24/7 people who can't say that they're wrong about anything, my friend. My friend, we have to slow down and take a breath and think what is best for humans.
David, you're so far off base here. First, you're insinuating that I believe we shouldn't have any immigration, which is not the case at all. In fact, it's so improper. It's almost slander. I'm just going to assume you haven't listened to a lot of shows, so you're just assuming that I believe things that I don't believe. But I actually am quite happy with legal immigration. We allow more than 1 million people to come here legally every year. That's more than every other legal immigration system on planet Earth combined. So the idea that we've walled off our country to immigration, it's like, not only is it not true, it's like you have to be incredibly misinformed to come to that conclusion. Because on top of the most the most generous legal immigration system, we're allowing millions more to come here illegally. And so for you to come away with the problem with America is, we're too closed off to immigration. That's what planet are you on?
I would say it's bigger than that. It's not closed off to immigration. It's closed off to human being. We've closed ourselves to the fact that, what did ABBA say, the band? ABBA,
are you high?
No. ABBA said, treat him well. He is your brother. You might need his help one day. We depend on one another, man. Love is the only way. Like, why are we so hateful, man? That is
Who's hateful?
All.
I'm hateful? All. Who do I hate?
I would say, I'm just saying all. Everyone.
Just all. Hey, man, let's just get together. We need to stop being so hateful. I'm pro-human being. I don't care about your specific policy preferences. We just got to stop it. This country's, we're not giving people the American. You sound high, dude. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Do you really believe I don't want legal immigration? Do you really believe that? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I teeter on the balance here. Do these people really think that I believe that, or are they just saying that so they can win an argument in the court of public opinion against a straw man? Ponderous stuff. Coming up next, we're going to talk to a January 6er, Larry Brock. He's a local guy here who had to spend some time in the clink for loitering through Statuary Hall on January 6th. And I'm going to ask Larry Brock, how does he feel about all these congressmen visiting ICE detention centers? It happened again this week, another congressional delegation falling all over themselves to make sure the due process rights aren't violated for illegal immigrants. Did he get any visits during January 6th? Or afterwards? We'll find out next on The James Show. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. I'm your host, James Parker. Well, we had another congressional delegation go to another ICE detention facility, this time in, I think it was outside of Tacoma.
Hi, it's Emily Randall. I'm here with my colleagues, Congresswoman Jayapal and Dexter. We're at the Northwest Detention Center getting ready to do an unannounced oversight visit. I'm so grateful to be joined by my colleagues. And anything you want to say about this?
Yeah. So they're down there, and their concern is due process. That's all. Just due process. They're real big on due process. In fact, Abrego Garcia just landed back in the United States today. We've had to fly him back from El Salvador to go ahead. The feds have indicted him on a bunch of human trafficking charges, and so he's going to get his full day in court. So due process, super duper important to these people, at least when it comes to illegal immigrants. My next guest is a January 6th political prisoner, Larry Brock, back on the James Show, Air Force veteran, and now candidate for Congress. But we'll talk about that in a little bit, or I should say state. But your thoughts on this newfound interest in due process, Larry? So talk about your experience with due process after January 6th. Isn't that like a war crime? Yeah. I remember that was brought up because they were concerned that we were doing that to people in Gitmo, the people that did 9/11 and, killed American soldiers. Well, my next question, Larry Brock, when you were a January 6th political prisoner, how many congressional delegations came and visited your detention center? Oh, yeah, I just fell out of my chair. So how does that make you feel? These people are falling all over themselves for non-Americans and totally ignored your plight. All right, you're running for office now. Give me the 1-minute pitch on that. All right. Real quick, the guy you're running against, he is on the official James Show Rhino list. Yep. All right, we got to run. This is Larry Brock. He was a retired Air Force veteran turned January 6th political prisoner, now a candidate for the Texas State House of Representatives. What's your website, Larry? Thank you very much. Coming up next, we have the mayor of Boston who's not happy with ICE agents wearing masks. We have Hakeem Jeffries who says he's going to expose all ICE agents for wearing masks. Does it bother you that ICE agents are wearing masks? I say absolutely not. 800-288-9227. It's The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Happy Friday, fellow Texans. It's the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM and 93.3. I said it wrong. News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. I'm still saying it the old way sometimes. Hey, so continuing on a train of thought that's been going through the last few topics here, we learned that Abrego Garcia is now back in the United States. He's going to go to court for some human trafficking crimes and then probably be shipped back off to El Salvador when it's all said and done. We found out that illegals in Texas for the last 24 years have been allowed to get in-state tuition. I was making the case that they shouldn't even be allowed to go to college. Didn't know that would be of controversy to anyone. And then I just asked a January 6th political prisoner his thoughts on all these congressional delegations. Again, another one this week went to an ICE detention facility to make sure all the illegals are being treated kindly and getting proper health care and their full complement of due process rights. Just wanted to run it by him. He wasn't too happy about that. And then we continue here. It's sort of the fourth story in a row where you kind of scratch your head and say, excuse me, are you here on behalf of foreigners or Americans first? Because the mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu, she's not too happy about these ICE agents that are running around, not just because they're picking up illegal immigrants and taking them back to their country of origin, but because they're wearing masks, and masks are bad.
I don't know of any police department that routinely wears masks. We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Mayor, just to clarify, are you comparing ICE, you said, to NSC 131, a neo-Nazi group? Are you comparing them to a neo-Nazi group?
What I said is that Boston Police and no police department that I know of at the local level routinely wears masks.
Yeah, that's not all you said. You also kind of threw in there the white supremacist gang, just kind of nonchalantly. Yeah, they're just like neo-Nazis, those ICE agents. Well, let's answer that. Why don't, normally speaking, we have police departments wearing masks to do their duties? And why would ICE agents do it? Do they have a different set of security concerns? Could it be perhaps that when you're deporting members of some of the most notorious, well-funded, and dangerous cartels on planet Earth, there has been a history of retaliation on the law enforcement officers that put them in cuffs? What do you think happens in Mexico to the families of police officers who run afoul of the cartel's good graces? What do you think happens when MS-13 has a chance to retaliate against the cops that are enforcing the law and doing their jobs? Do you think they're going to say, well, we don't have to go after his family? That's fine. He's a good guy. He was just doing his job. We'll let it go. But Michelle Wu, maybe that speaks to the caliber of person that they're picking up. Maybe that speaks to the level of danger that they're encountering. Because you're right. They don't just wear it, when they're directing traffic outside of the Stars game. They don't wear a mask and cover their face when they're pulling over randos for jaywalking or to write a speeding ticket. But when you're picking up criminal illegal aliens, many of whom are members of MS-13 or other nefarious gangs, Train de Aragua or whatever cartel of the week, yeah, maybe they do have some legitimate security concerns. Also, I've also noticed how a lot of people on your side, Team Blue, have started crowding around and trying to interrupt ICE raids when they're happening. Have you seen this on your social media feed? So yeah, maybe they have some extra security concerns because the people they're picking up are harmful, dangerous, and the activists around them, like you on your team, are dangerous as well. It doesn't stop there, though. Do you recognize the name Hakeem Jeffries? Minority leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives in D.C. Not only does he not like ICE agents wearing masks, he has vowed to expose all of them.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that. This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified.
Wow, this is a nice way to threaten law enforcement there. I know why the cops have to cover their face. I know why they want that extra security if they're doing an ICE raid. Because when your side of the aisle, Hakeem Jeffries, when people who vote for your team, sir, when they get upset, things catch on fire. People get beat up. There's riots. There's bricks that are thrown through windows. Teslas explode. For all of Elon's previous history, where he identified with the Democrats, voted for the Democrats, supported Democrats, donated to Democrats, went to Democrat events, no Teslas caught on fire. No one got their stuff keyed. There was no Tesla dealerships that were spontaneously combusting, but now they are. Whenever someone is killed in an either Israeli or pro-Palestinian protest, what is it 100% of the time? It's someone yelling free Palestine that is committing an act of violence against what's probably a pro-Jewish or what you would call Zionist. No, we do this because your side is dangerous. Your side of the aisle is violent. It wasn't at a Tea Party rally where 6 Dallas cops got shot. And what was it, like 9 other wounded and a couple civilians along with it? That was at a Black Lives Matter / Antifa rally. This is a Black Lives Matter rally, but a lot of Antifa was there and they were welcomed with open arms. That didn't happen at Tea Party rallies. That didn't happen at MAGA rallies. Your people are dangerous, sir. They're protecting themselves from you and your voters and your constituents. So no, it doesn't bother me at all that ICE agents feel like they have to wear a mask because of security concerns. The thing that bothers me is that they feel that way in the first place, that have to share a country that will commit acts of violence and retribution against cops for enforcing our immigration law. I think that's the problem. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Does it bother you if you see ICE agents wearing a mask? Because not me for one bit. Coming up next, birthright citizenship on the table at the Supreme Court. Jeremy Rosenthal, our legal analyst from Texas defense firm. Next, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there. Happy Friday. Welcome to the James Show. I'm your host, James Parker, on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM WBAP. We're expecting a flurry of activity from the Supreme Court soon, and here to make some sense of it from TexasDefenseFirm.com, it's our good buddy, Jeremy Rosenthal. Welcome back to the big show, sir. I am well. So is this one of the Supreme Court situations where they're going to have a bunch of decisions, but they're not going to announce them for months later? As long as I've been covering things that the Supreme Court have said, I've never picked up the pattern on how they decide what gets released when. So I saw you're making a joke. That's very helpful. Thank you so much, Jeremy. So let's talk about one I did hear about. There was a 9-0 decision on the Catholic Charities Bureau. Wisconsin was trying to revoke their tax-exempt status, saying they're not a religious organization. How do slam dunks like this make it to the Supreme Court? Jeremy Rosenthal, TexasDefenseFirm.com is my guest, talking about what's going on in the Supreme Court. Do we have any semblance of what's going on with the birthright citizenship case? All right. Thank you very much, Jeremy Rosenthal, TexasDefenseFirm.com. Thanks for sharing your legal expertise with us on The James Show. All right, coming up next, we are playing Name That Artist. I'm giving away a 4-pack of tickets to see a Rangers game. Who wants to go see the Rangers against the Kansas City Royals? It's a Wednesday game, June 18th, 7 p.m. at Globe Life Field. All you got to do is name the 10 artists for these songs here. Wow. Don't blame me. That's a Bruce montage. But if you want to get this 4-pack of tickets, you don't have to know all of them. You just have to know more than the next guy. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. The conclusion to name that artist next on The James Show. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey, homeowners. James Parker here for Blue Ribbon Roofing. We are getting another round of storms this weekend. It's supposed to get really bad on Sunday for a lot of the people listening right now. It might be you too. If the storm's so bad it wakes you up in the middle of the night, you might want to call blueribbondfw.com. If you have some neighbors in your subdivision or in your neighborhood that are getting some roof work done, it might be time for you to call blueribbondfw.com. If you're seeing a whole lot of roofing signs pop up in the median at the intersection when you're on your way to work, you might want to call blueribbondfw.com. If a lot of other people are having problems that they've noticed, you want to get your free inspection out there so you can catch it before you find out the hard way. And the good news is it doesn't cost you anything. I did it myself. Blue Ribbon Roofing came to my house. They got on my roof. They looked around, and they say it takes about an hour. It really took about 40 minutes, and that's everything. They give you a folder of materials so you can know what shingles and colors and brands and styles are available. And then there's a nice conversation that happens. They show you some pictures of some concerns that they take, and hopefully, if it's like me, no real changes need to be made. If worst comes to worst, you do need a new roof, they can help you with the painful insurance process. Make sure you get all the money you deserve out of your insurance claim. So Blue Ribbon DFW does it all. Go to blueribbondfw.com. Hey, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 93.3 FM, WBAP. You are just in time for a James Show game show. Name that artist. Now, this is a cool one today because we're playing for a 4-pack of Texas Ranger tickets. They're going to be June 18th at Globe Life Field, and you and 3 of your friends are going to be there to see them take on the Kansas City Royals. It's a 7 p.m. game, so you have plenty of time when you get off work to go get your friends. Go to Globe Life Field. You don't have to stop and get food on the way because it's dollar hot dog night. Yes, it is. That's probably the day I would like to go on. Presented by Texas Chili Company. For the rest of us, go ahead and get your tickets at texasrangers.com, but I'm going to give away a pair right now. For you people on hold, don't worry about calling in. It's full. For you people on hold, we're about to play the montage again. I want you to get out either a pen and paper or a notepad file on your phone and type in the artist. The 10 artists to this montage. Go. All right, so if you know all these, you're doing better than me. Let's start with Susie and Prosper. You're first up on Name That Artist. Can you name all 10?
I don't think so, but I can name a few.
Well,
I can name a few.
Do you want to see how many you can get? Because you might give it away for the other people.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go. Let's see what you got, Susie. Go.
Elton John,
Yes.
Toto, Kim Carnes,
Yes.
Taco.
Who?
Taco?
No. Next.
All right, thank you.
Well, hang on.
Oh.
Don't go anywhere because if someone can't do better than you, then I'll come back to you. Let's try Jennifer. Jennifer and Irving, do you know all 10?
Well, I'm working on it. Let's see. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Elton John.
Yes.
Toto. Kim Carnes.
Yep.
Chess.
No, we're stuck. Y'all are stuck on the same one, so we have a tie going now. Let's try Pete. What you got, Pete?
I'm afraid I don't know them all. I think I only got 6 of them.
Yeah, that's all I got too, Pete. So me and you tied, but I think the ladies sound a little more positive than we do. Let's try one more. David at Grand Prairie, you got all 10?
May.
All right, let's hear what you got. Go.
I can try my best. So I got Men at Work.
But no. Don't go backwards. Go forward.
Oh, well, I'm just trying to remember how.
That's not how it works. All right, hang on.
Okay, hold on.
That's all right. All right, Susie, let's hear the rest of your list.
Yeah, I have ABBA for the next one.
Okay.
And then I don't have the next 2.
Yeah, I didn't have the next 2 either.
And then I have Eagles,
Yep.
Golden Earring, and Queen.
No, so you're only at 6. Jennifer, can you do more than 6?
I think I can.
All right, let's hear your list. Start at the top. Start at Elton John.
Okay, Elton John. Toto. Kim Carnes. Murray Head.
Yes, Murray Head. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Melissa Manchester.
Yes, that's after ABBA.
Okay. Elton John.
He was the
there.
first one.
Oh, okay. Eagles, I believe, is where we were.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Well, the one you missed that's Barry Manilow. Oh, sorry, hit the wrong button there. Yeah, that was Barry Manilow, not his second Elton John. And then it's the Eagles. And then
Men at Work.
Men at Work was the last one. So I think you're our winner, Jennifer. You got, what was that, 8 out of 10? Well, that's enough to win today. Congratulations to Jennifer and Irving. You have just won a 4-pack of tickets to the Ranger game coming up next Wednesday, June 18th. Now, are you available to go? Can you?
I believe, yes, I am. Me and my husband. Thanks, James.
All right, well, fantastic. Good deal for Jennifer and Irving. I put her on hold. Garrett will get you information. I didn't mean to pick up David again. And we'll email you the tickets. That's been today's edition of Name That Artist. Thank you very much. For the rest of us, we got to go get our tickets, TexasRangers.com. Coming up next, what's with all these cars being pulled out of the lake here in Dallas? I have some theories next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey there, happy Friday. Welcome to the James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP. So they've now pulled 10 cars out of the lake, and it's not a lake. It's called Lake Cliff Park, but it is tiny. It's a little park, and I mean, because technically it's Oak Cliff, but if you're in downtown Dallas and you leave downtown Dallas on 35 going south, as soon as you get over the big Trinity River Bridge, your first exit there is Colorado. Exit there, take a right, just go a few blocks, and it's a little it's a pond is what it is. And apparently the thing was half full of cars. They pulled 4 out yesterday, and then I just saw an update. I was checking up for you before the show on the Dallas Morning News. They said 6 more were pulled out today. So that's 10 cars out of this tiny lake. There's more cars than water in this lake. And I'm waiting for the update for they tell you on why did they decide to go start pulling cars out of this lake. And I don't know the backstory on that. I assume it's, some crime has led them there. But I have seen this happen. This has happened before. I know they found a whole bunch of cars in like the Trinity River before. I remember there was like a missing persons case when I was in New Orleans for a brief time. And they were looking for a teacher who they think may have run off the road into what's called Bayou St. John. And so when they sent divers to go look for her car, they found like 14 cars. And I thought, every single one of these cars that's in Lake Cliff Park or whenever you hear a story like this, that's got to be some part of a crime. If not like, someone committed a murder and then, went on the lam and ran their car in the lake so the cops would lose their trail or whatever. Or someone's trying to commit insurance fraud, or someone's just trying to dispose of some evidence because they did a drive-by in this stolen car and now they ditched the car so they never get connected to it. But no one's like accidentally doing this. There's no person with good intentions or even indifferent intentions that is putting the car in the bottom of a lake in on the south side of town just for funsies. No one's doing. Every single one of these has a crime attached to it. So, hey, look, if we've got the police manpower, if we got it freed up, I'm told we need like 400 more cops in this town. But can we get a few more on the abandoned car situation? Because I guarantee you every one of them, can you get the evidence to attach them to a crime? I don't know. But I think it's safe to assume that there's a crime behind every story of those cars. It just cracks me up. 10 of them in this tiny. Did they notice that there was cars in there because someone tried to put an 11th car in there and there wasn't enough room for it to sink? Is that what had to happen? You should see how small this body of water is. It's a glorified mud puddle. It has a fountain in the middle. That's how shallow it is. It has a fountain. Hilarious. I mean, sad, but there's an aspect of humor if you're dark enough like me. Found a good viral video that I thought you would enjoy because there's discussions that come up quite often on just things that you find. And I think, ooh, I think you would like that. You're going to think that's hilarious. So then I pull it out and I play it for you. And then hopefully you get some laughs out of it. I really got a lot of good response on one of the earlier viral videos I played for you this week, where it was the guy who someone was stealing his lunch. Someone was stealing his lunch at work. So he slipped laxatives into it and just waited for the fun to happen. Well, the fun happened. Someone on the floor of the factory got the trots and had a little accident in his drawers. Problem is, it turned out to be his boss. So this guy sort of, I don't know if you would call it poisoned his boss, but he got in trouble for that. And so sometimes I discount these little stories. Like, I think that's funny. Does anyone else think that's funny? Does everyone else has the same sense of humor? And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But on the comedian front, I find this to be harder and harder because am I misremembering our childhood, or do comedians just cuss a whole lot these days? I remember there was the dirty comedians back in the day where, you get a Richard Pryor set or an Eddie Murphy or a Chris Rock or a Bill Hicks. But do all of them just cuss as much as they want these days? So here's kind of a sweet one. Her name's Erica Rose, and she's not a trophy wife. She calls herself a participation trophy wife.
I'm just dressing for the job I want now, which is an attainable trophy wife. I just want to be a participation trophy wife. I want guys to look at me and be like, yeah, I could afford that. She looks like she'd appreciate like a thrift store frock, something half off. I do like thrift stores. I shop at them a lot. I think it's because I emotionally connect to the clothing, because I know what it's like to feel used. I am still looking for love, but it's hard. You know, I just got my heart broken for the 15th time by the same guy. I love her. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 15 times, wow. I'm impressed. What else you got?
All right, that's going to about do it for the James Show today. Now, listen, as you're walking into the weekend, your weekend officially begins in 6 minutes, so don't get too excited. But if you're feeling that we're kind of missing each other, I miss you too. You can always come back and check out more James Show on the weekends with the podcast. Wherever you're already listening to podcasts, check it out. I prefer you download the WBAP app. It'll be there. It's absolutely free, but we're on other podcast apps too, so just be sure to look it up. Also, if you're going to be wasting some time on social media, find us there, WBAP, The James Parker Show. We have a bunch of fun content, graphics, events that you need to know about, videos from the show. Some of them are highlights that have the cool little captions in them. So YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, whatever we're calling it these days. You've got a little bit on Instagram and some of these other platforms. Just whenever you're goofing off and you're not on the radio, you can still get a little James Show action until this show comes back at 2 o'clock on Monday morning. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. You go have a good weekend, and I'll see you Monday. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.